What an upset there by Gravitas. Not at all what we were expecting, and particularly after the conversation from Spawn before that game, saying that Direwolves potentially a top two team there, Spawn.
Yeah, I thought they were the favourites to win the split, to be honest. Obviously, we've got some pretty hard matches today, order to, in the Chiefs and Direwolves. And having broken down a lot of their games recently, I was really a fan of how Direwolves were playing League of Legends. But Gravitas just had a great draft. And I guess in clutch moments, Prayless really led from the front again. And this is a team that when Prayless fires, they look really good still.
Yeah, that and Human, right? Really came in. The early teleport to top lane was a big factor there. The three people diving chippies, giving a lead to Pabu, and that really spilled over to the rest of the map. Human getting those leads, ended up with 3 kills, and obviously was a big contributor to those victories. So I think adding that extra cog to Gravitas in Pabu, in a macro sense, definitely. He was the one priming the waves for that dive in the first place. When you consider that, Gravitas looked a lot stronger early, and that translated well to mid.
Absolutely. Spawn, how are the eyes? Because it was getting...
I tell you what, mate.
You were on the surface of the sun there at the end.
I was like ducking and weaving, and then I'm like, oh, finally relief. They said we could throw. And then Skimmy talked for probably an hour and 20 minutes on his last analogy. And if I was anywhere near New South Wales, if your borders weren't shut, mate, I was coming for you because I was like, I just want to get out of the sun.
I was looking to sum up some beautiful sound bites, so I'd end up in one of those little montages, and then old mate's just like, you look, cut the string, get me out. So,
mate, I was literally, I'm on Mercury right now, for those that don't know. That's like, I don't actually live in Melbourne. I live in Mercury. It is the closest planet to the sun, and it was very, very warm.
Can I ask, at what point during the game did it start burning your retinas?
About 5 minutes in. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, good.
Oh, you're joking.
Good. Yeah, I was contemplating going to turn it off, but at the end of the day, guys, I am a professional. Unlike a lot of people within this broadcast, I am here to do a job, and I will ensure that I do that job. So,
that's some big shade.
Like a true professional, I just sat here and copped it for 35 minutes and a very long analogy.
Like a true professional, I sat there and copped it, and then complained for 5 minutes afterwards. All right. Good. Well, I mean, look, it has so far been a very surprising day. Not only are we not allowed to enter the Rice studio, we're broadcasting from home, but the first game, long and a shock, and the second one there, obviously Gravitas
long and a shock.
Taking down long and a shock. There you go. That works well.
Long and 2 shocks.
Long and 2 shocks, actually. There's a shock. There's a shock somewhere in the mid lane. And then obviously the second game, a big surprise result there for Gravitas. Well done. The power of Pabu can't necessarily be attributed to that win because, of course, they did take a W last week. But those guys are on their way up, which is good for them to see. Bad news for the teams above them, as Spawn was talking about, the teams below order are the ones that he's watching with the most anticipation, and that one gets a little hairy. Speaking of hairy, we have some new April Fool's skins for League, and one of them, the Pajama Guardian Urgot, seems to be a big fan favorite. Spawn, this was a little before my time, just meme-wise. Can you explain why this is such a big deal?
Urgot is a hideous creature, and people wanted him to have a Star Guardian skin, which is purely reserved for very cute and cuddly creatures. So I don't know why. I think Urgot is something straight out of a nightmare, and I would like him to be removed from the game, not have more skins. But, it is what it is.
Do we think that it has achieved the goal of making him cute and cuddly? Or is it more horrifying to put something disgusting in something cute and cuddly?
Oh,
definitely more horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a murder machine that now has pajamas on, like those stars will still murder you. It's even creepier now, but
that's true.
It got what the community wanted, is what I'll say. Is they wanted a Star Guardian Urgot, and they got it.
So then my question to you guys would be, if you could design an April Fool's skin range, either a single skin or a range for Riot, what would you want? Skimmy, I'll start with you.
What would I want? Probably just sport themed. Probably just more. You know how they had like Ezreal and Blitzcrank with like the soccer skins. I'd probably want more of those. Yep. But I'd probably want thematic ones, so like countries. So like, I'm trying to think of a champion like kangaroo,
like weird
Kazakhs.
Sports from different countries,
like Kiwi Kazakhs or kangaroo Kazakhs. Like something that you could say like, I have a New Zealand champion, or I have an Australian champion, or a French champion. I feel like it kind of just adds a bit more of identity to the game. Perhaps if you're hesitant to buy a skin, you can be a bit more patriotic. I don't know, just something like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Cool.
I like the idea of theming it around country sports. I saw something on Twitter a couple of days ago, which was a video. I'm sure it was Welsh. It seems like Wales always have these sports of a man running towards a river with a huge pole vault, and then he jams it in the river, vaults up, climbs the massive pole vault as it's tipping over the river, and then reaches the apex, and then jumps off and lands on the other side of the bank. And a bunch of Welsh people just lose their shit. Oh my god, what a country! I'm attributed it to Wales. I don't know if that's true. Pole vault, man, river, sand, Wales.
I reckon, like, surely that's how Nordic people used to storm small villages or something.
Absolutely.
I could see it as Scottish.
Yeah.
I think it was Holland. It also seemed, I can see
that's
that.
What I mean. They were jumping people's lakes and taking their women long before the Welsh were doing it, I'm sure.
That's true. Canal jumping is Holland's oldest sport. And in Dutch, it's pronounced verjibbelbub.
That sounds about right
yes,
as well.
Yes, Nick, yes.
Spawn, if you were going to have an April Fool's skin, beat verjibbelbub.
I've got two. So
Please.
I would, if I released a skin line, I would want Raz-based skins. So I would want Raz Draven, like Raz Lucian, and I just want Razzleplasm shouting the champion's voice lines, but he's not allowed to listen to them beforehand. Because Raz thinks he has a good memory of what people or things sound like, but he actually has a really bad memory, and he's really enthusiastic when he does impressions. So, that would be the best skin line ever released for an esports fan, I'm pretty sure. The other one I want released, because it's actually a fan concept, and I'll dig it up and chuck it on my Twitter, is Candy Cane. Candy Cane, I'm a big Cane player. I'm probably the only person in the whole of Oceania that still plays Cane. He's still my most played, and I think Candy Cane would be a dope skin.
That's nice. That Raz one is awesome.
I thought you meant Orazio Fantasia for a second until I realized it's an esports broadcast.
Nah, not that Raz. Different Raz. He's in chat as well, and he apparently appreciates it. So I would say, Raz-based champion skins. Can you imagine a Raz Cho'Gath where he has to shout all of Cho'Gath's lines? That would be hilarious.
Rusty, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool to have a Space Jam theme for champions. So I think the Ivern basketball skin's a little bit boring, but if you Space Jamified a line of champions like that, I think it would be super cool.
That's cool. You could put Dr. Mundo would be another good one for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I like a Space Jam. I'm looking forward to Space Jam too. I'm into that. Spawn, you totally stole mine. I thought that a good skin range would be casters, the feature caster from each region, and completely customized, their favorite champion. They do all the voice lines, and like you said, that's an awesome idea. I absolutely think that should happen. Either that, or just skin your character, skin the champions like members of other MOBAs, and just really confuse everybody. I'm sure they're going to do that one. That feels like the most. On brand one. All right, it's time to get into game number 3. It's Mammoth versus PGG, and Rusty, PGG not having the strongest day so far. Coming up against Mammoth though, who if you're going to style on anyone, it could be Mammoth. But that being said, Mammoth have styled on top 2 teams.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what's going to happen in this game after the results of the first game. I think that some of the adaptations you might see would be like a Wukong not being available for the other team. But we'll see how they play this one out, Pentanet.
There you go. In chat, let me know what April Fool's skins you want to see. Either drop it in chat or send it to me on Twitter @NickBoy. All right, it's time to get into game number 3 of our 6-game evening. It is Mammoth versus PGG, and it is coming up with the Macca's Champ Select.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
2 per week. Pentanet.gg up for the second time today, taking on Mammoth, making their debut online, because it is the OPL, and we are rocking it at home. Definitely not our studio. Definitely not going to critique what my setup looks like.
You just got a hell of a lot taller, dude, because your head's bursting out of your frame now.
Well, like, I sat up, like, really getting into that opener. But I was about to finish off by saying, and you're not blinded by the light, maybe as Biopanther is blinded by the sky, as he's locked in the Pantheon. Yeah,
and this is certainly the most comfortable comp I've seen PGG play. They really like to play around Pantheon and the early pressure it has. They can set up a lot of, pre-written plays, 4-man dives bottom lane, dives top lane. They can play it in multiple positions, get backsplayed it, rogues played it. So I'm excited to see exactly how this Pentanet squad looks with maybe a more practiced draft scheme.
Well, 2 ADCs banned away and 2 supports as well. So the variables in that bottom lane have been heavily reduced. The same could then be said for the likes of Ornn and Set 2. And what's interesting, no Wukong ban, no Wukong picks. It's almost like a game of chicken. Like, no, you pick it, or maybe we will. So going to be interesting to see if it comes out in the second rotation of bans, because it looks to me as if currently no team is willing to blind it.
And this is insane to me, Skimmy, because we might have just had Mammoth on red side give up counterpick to just double blind pick solo lanes. Lived is a huge fan. Kwaku is a huge Renekton fan. And they might have just thrown the gauntlet and said, you know what, we think that these 2 champions are so incredibly strong on this patch that we're willing to give up our counterpicks and solo lanes, which is what red side's all about, to just take our comfort picks.
Instant response here from Pentanet is to hang on with the Ezreal and rock and roll with the Rumble. So you got a lot of lockdown, a lot of slow potential, especially the Iceborne Gauntlet. So the aggression that can come at you with that Echo and Renekton definitely can be stemmed, CC'd, and punished.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is much more standard bans coming across. So we have to see a second tier AD carry picked up. Ezreal, Varus, Ashe are kind of the second tiers that we've seen a lot in competitive play. And Boma does have a pocket Heimerdinger, however, and that's what's going to be locked in.
Okay. What do we think of that one there, Spawn? Honestly, I'm looking at that. I'm a little bit confused. I do know, obviously, we've seen a bit of a return in the bottom lane with sometimes the mages, but Heimerdinger is a new one for me to witness.
Yeah, Heimerdinger is one of those champions that you have to have a million games on to be able to play it. Like, you're either a Heimerdinger player or you're not. And Boma right now is rank 8 in solo queue. He's playing an absolute truckload of Heimerdinger. I think he's one of the slept-on players in the league, and I think that he plays it really well. If they get any form of follow-up CC here, I'm talking Leona, I'm talking Nautilus, this is an out-and-out kill lane, and it's also a lane that gives you a lot of priority. Now, the difficulty with drafting something like this is you don't actually know where Pentanet are putting any of their champions apart from Ezreal. They can play Rumble support. They can play Pantheon support. They can pick up a completely different support, like maybe a Karma, and play a little bit more of a skirmish-style push-heavy bottom lane. So this is certainly still a flexible composition for the Pentanet lineup, but we'll see how it goes.
What would you ideally want to have going into this Heimerdinger? Because as you highlight, again, there's going to be a lot of pushing power with the turrets, with the rockets, and everything else that he has in his kit, but is it similar to most mages that's susceptible just to sort of aggression of, Threshes, Nautiluses, and the rest?
Not really, because you don't want to hook into a Heimerdinger. He's got so many turrets set up. So you generally want to try and outpush him and take those turrets down. I think, mages like Syndra have traditionally done well into Heimerdinger, but they'd already locked in the Ezreal. So I would pair it with something like a Karma and try and shove it in early and try and take control of the lane. If you let Heimerdinger get set up, it is so dangerous. And that's why they've paired it with a Blitzcrank, because now you can't pick a mage into it. If you pick a mage, they just kill you.
That's pretty rowdy. It's going to be a Heimerdinger Blitzcrank. Lots of CC, you're locked in place, stunned, silenced. Pretty much everything. It's going to be a juicy little pick comp there, and they were considering the Rakan. Now it looks to be the Braum, so they're going to sacrifice a lot of pushing power with that and look to, I'd imagine, just survive the laning phase.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? We're just picking something for the mid game. We're going to go down, a couple of CS, maybe a turret plate or 2 as well. We're ceding complete early game control over to you guys. Maybe if we get the best gank of all time, we can look for a cheeky all-in. But otherwise, play towards the top side of the map, play towards the Pantheon, play towards the Rumble, because this bottom lane is going to be real rough for PGG.
Incredibly rowdy, and that's going to be a Kindred Sorely. We've seen this come out of him a few different times, but it is one of those picks that either he incredibly pops off on or may fall a little bit far behind in. So I'm excited to see how Sorely performs in this one. Was able to get ahead, obviously, on that Lee Sin earlier today. but wasn't able to actually utilize that much more. So I guess the likes of Mammoth, obviously sitting at 8th place in the league, they're not taking any chances here. Not going to make this an easy game for Pentanet by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely drafting something rather creative and quite spicy.
Okay, so this is interesting. So Mammoth do flex the Echo into the jungle. This is one of those compositions that you certainly can do that. The reason I thought that Echo would be going mid is if you look at Lived pick ban, he either plays Set or he plays Echo in solo queue. They're his two biggest champions. However, is known for kind of his bruiser matchups. So they're going to run an 80 bruiser into the Rumble. And I think that this is one of the better answers to Rumble in the mid lane. You're able to skirmish with him early because you have the power of bruiser. You can look for all in. And I think that there is plenty of pseudo-engage here for Mammoth to really get the party started. They have hooks, but they also have the pressure of flanks coming through from Aatrox, as well as the Renekton and the Echo. So this should be a relatively easy teamfight comp for Mammoth to go towards. I'm actually really happy with the kind of lower-ranked teams in the OPL right now. I think they're playing very easy to execute compositions that do get advantages in the early game. And I think Pentanet are once again in one of those really tricky matchups where I don't know whether they necessarily win any lane.
Well, that was going to be my next follow-up question. I was like, if they don't win bottom lane because they're going to get out-pushed, how does mid lane, how does top lane work? You know, how are these junglers going to influence that to get themselves through? And are we going to see a similar situation where, you know, you fall behind in the early game and you can just never really stabilize to get into that mid game to flex, you know, your mechanical prowess on a champion or as a whole unit?
Yeah, I think that what they will be looking for is push in the mid lane and try and team up with their mid-jungle 2v2. You've got a really good skirmish jungler in the Kindred, as well as the fact that you've got Rumble for all of his pushing power. Now, if the best Rumble plays into the best Aatrox, I think that Rumble will win the lane, but I think that Aatrox just has so much room to move in that lane. I think it really is a skill matchup. Top lane, I think the Pantheon can win this lane matchup, but Renekton has way more sustain, right? So I would, once again, ease of execution-wise, I would be favoring Mammoth's comp this time around.
I'm excited to see what they actually decide to lock in with. When we finished that draft, I saw 3 teleports online, and you know, it definitely has found a fair bit of value compared to the 2 that Pentanet have. So top lane and bottom lane will have it, but this is going to be a second time again, a aggressive Ignite Rumble to try and match Lived here on his teleporting Aatrox. So going to be interesting to see how they can utilize that, if they can sort of play the macro super hard up against Pentanet and really have them sleeping with nightmares tonight.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think that Pentanet are one of those teams that they do seem to be a little bit momentum-based. I don't want to say the tilt world, but they will certainly get emotional about the game, it seems. So if they do carry on any of those emotions from last game, it is only an hour turnaround, Skimmy. We could be in for a spicy one. Yeah,
it's a bit of a rough one, right? Especially with the current situation. It's not you can go outside and go for a run and get some tilt off. You're sort of stuck in that room. Maybe put a bit of washing liquid on the ground, start like jogging on the spot like a makeshift gym. I don't know. They gotta have something lined up here to sort of mentally reset, cleanse the system, and get themselves in the right frame of mind to get a dub on a day.
Talking about home gyms, do you know how hard in Australia it is to buy a home gym right now? I don't know whether the big boss Carbon has any weights lying around, but you just cannot get anything online.
I don't think I actually have seen him do anything except for he's got tons of stretching mats and yoga mats and whatnot. He's always doing a punch of that, but outside of that, I haven't seen him do much more. But let's leave it on that bombshell. That will keep Carbon very confused in a VOD. I'll clip it and send it to him. Go grab yourself a drink, get some snacks, get yourself ready as we jump into game number 3.
Cruel
It's game number 3 of Super Week as Pentanot.gg take on Mammoth, who are looking to upset the balance in what has already been a day of multiple upsets today, Spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. See whether we can make it 3 for 3. On paper, it looks like PGG should be able to pick up the victory here. They are a couple of wins ahead of the Mammoth lineup. However, Mammoth have got themselves a good composition. Playing with Artek, I think, for the first time as well, Skimmy. Unless he played last week, and I'm forgetting.
He played last week, yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go, and I am forgetting. But I like what they've put together here, and I think that a lot of comfort right now for the Mammoth lineup.
It's been interesting sort of seeing the evolution of this Mammoth bot lane as they've sort of flexed it out. Originally picking up Mboma with Emelg, and then now drafting in Artek and just giving that a lot of competition in the role. And I think it's definitely been an upgrade for them in terms of the performances they've been able to net as a result.
And I'm interested in kind of that conversation further, and obviously pretty standard early game unless they invade behind Artek's Blitzcrank. So I kind of want to explore that. In traditional sports, the idea of a substitute coming and taking your main spot is just always there. It's there from like you're a 5-year-old kid, right, playing your first sport. You get benched. In esports, that's never really existed. It's like once you have been set up, at least in League of Legends, for the split, you're on for the split, very little roster changes go across. What we've seen this split in the OPL is a ton of roster changes. And I think I agree with you, Skimmy. I think it has made these teams a little bit more competitive than we would have seen otherwise if, they just accepted the fact that they're going to keep the entirely same roster. If you can't have that pressure of if you play poorly, you're gone within, a second or last place team, how do you really drive that performance? I would say not all that well. Whereas maybe this is one of those times where inter-squad rivalry, Artek or Amel getting the starting position can actually give you that competition you need as a coach to be able to motivate these players.
Well, I was going to say, to further that point as a coach, right, if there's nothing really on the line, you've got that complacency factor, very hard to really get your narrative across to say this is what you want to work on if they aren't as invested in it as you are. And I suppose if there's aspirations for some of these players to reach the big stage and maybe hit up a major region, they're definitely going to be wanting to be that starting face and showcase what they can do on the big stage.
Yeah, and I just want to echo the sentiment that especially after this offseason, how many people we saw go over to the NALCS and Destiny obviously go to the LEC. Everyone's goal in the OPL should be to go overseas. There is just no reason to play if that is not the goal in its entirety. And, winning the OPL is also very prestigious, obviously, but it's that long-term stability that people want. Biopanther looking for a gank here, however, now very low health. Bass also chased out Skimmy.
Yeah, Kwaku forced to disengage or hide under his tail as Biopanther incredibly fatal on critical health. Not really allowing Sully to do much, but the junglers will meet when it comes to red buff. Sully definitely pathing farther ahead with a double buff completed so far. Despite Bass having an extra camp over him, he's still going to manage to pick up his red buff for free.
And I really like that from Sully, just because of what it did to the solo lanes. It relieves so much pressure. As Rogue dodges out on that hook again.
Blitzcrank's always an interesting one for me. I was just going to say, to add to that point, I always get so debated of not necessarily needing to throw out the hook, but just always being that constant threat, right? Like, I could at any moment make your life a misery.
Yeah, well, it's the old Abraham Lincoln quote, Skimmy. You miss 100% of hooks you don't take. Obviously, Abraham Lincoln, a big Blitzcrank player, plus in the top lane.
Top lane is where the action's at, and that's where the first blood's going to be achieved. Sully right on the mark once again.
Yeah, and Kwaku not using that teleport to get back to lane, I think, is a huge mistake. But that's all off the back end of Sully's invade. Hook will land. Good arcane shift. Will get him to safety, however. Infernal Chains does rip him back. I think Liv would have looked for the all-in there if they had it.
Bass is on the hunt right now, coming for a gank attempt as the Qs land. The sphere gets dropped on down. Get back just going to stand by it and say, you can slow me, but it will not stun. We'll be safe and secure under that tower.
Yeah, but you can see already that Liv is starting to get the shove here. Without potions available, quite difficult. Embowment needs to be careful. This is the little things on Heimerdinger. The fact that he was really ready to drop that rocket to actually stop the Q coming across from Braum. And then you saw grenade hits and he drops another turret while the grenade going out to get double lasers down, and they're both just out of range of that turret. Now Rogue going to look to be dove.
Kratos has left him. He's going to TP back in, and Rogue is very secure under that turret as a result, knowing that his team member will rejoin. Shield goes up, and damage mitigation gets utilized. I have show face in the bottom lane, but unable to find anything from it.
Yeah, and you have to say that they're farming really nicely down there. I thought that this would be a pretty hard winning lane, and so far it looks like they're getting the push. But you can see that Praedyth is ahead or equal in CS and starting to run out of mana in the bottom lane is the Mammoth lineup. Meanwhile, top lane, another gank coming across.
They're looking for it again. They're definitely making Kwaku feel the wrath. This is almost like times of old where Kwaku was the target to focus on. Down Sully with a second kill. Definitely going to accelerate this Kindred's power spike.
Yeah, and you can see that Sully just kind of living up there in the top lane. Has also rush boots too, which you only normally do if you're going to be a gank-heavy jungler. Obviously, will not help him clear out the jungle all that much as the jungle item would. Puts him behind and being able to complete that big first power spike. But all very nice for this kind of game plan.
Chains won't connect, but Get Back is secure. Able to draw that minion wave under his tower. Only a few CS behind at this stage, but definitely holding his own. And once that red carpet is there to use, which it is at level 6, going to be very scary when it comes to the likes of contesting Drakes and for the roaming team fights.
And I think that this early game has been very strange. We said that we expect all of the lanes to be pretty heavily winning for the Mammoth lineup, you know, mid lane kind of the exception. But the fact that Kwaku has been left on his island means that he is significantly far behind. And then when you have a look at the bottom lane matchup, Praedyth has navigated it really, really well. They haven't been able to land any significant damage onto Rogue. He's just been able to dodge out of all the hooks. The hooks that have landed have been onto the Ezreal. They haven't been able to shove him out of lane outside of the one teleport base. And I think that PGG should be really be commended for how well that they've played this so far.
And they best, you know, obviously with the Ezreal, you had the Arcane Shift, if perfectly timed, able to juke out the hook like we've seen in that lane so far. So Praedyth...
Not even perfectly timed, Skimmy. It used to be a perfectly timed ability. Now it's just, if you hit it anywhere that you've been hooked, you're fired.
It's been made easy, okay. But we do see... Okay, so the teleport has actually been picked up here by Rumble. So originally in draft, it had the Ignite, so now we do have triple teleports from both these teams. So expect to see some crazy shenanigans, kind of like what we saw in the Avant Pennant game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think that we're going to see probably heavy priority being put on the Rift Herald pickup. We'll see where the teams start to swap to go towards that. We are 7.5 minutes into the game. First Dragon hasn't been touched just yet. Sully would love to be able to grab that one. And Sully is starting to fall behind in farm, but because of those 2 kills, is looking very good. Lip under fire here.
He is indeed. It's going to be a 2v2 in the mid lane right now as the red carpet comes on down. Get Back not going to find any value on it because the members aren't stepping on top of that, but Sully is looking at that kill. One more auto will do it. He's lived for such a long time.
Baker's here.
Breaker is going to respond. It's going to be the rewind to dodge on out, and Artek is in hot pursuit as well. Pantheon showing no signs of even going for the Grand Starfall. As he doesn't want to sky jump in. He's definitely not 007 in this movie flex, but... Well, Sully able to hang on to that bounty and that flawless score.
Yeah, and just a 1-for-1 trade, but once again, Sully being able to pick that up. He's going to be even further ahead in gold right now. Jungle is ticked over to level 6 with the respective kills going across. We take another look at this one. Lived, pops the ultimate nice and early, however, missed the first Q. And a very nice response flash coming through from Get Back will keep him alive long enough. You see Sully and Bass both ticking 6. Will both have the ultimate available, so they know they can't kill each other. Will instead just decide to disengage. However, Kwaku had made the full journey down, and Biopanther had not. With that lane pressure, Sully's going to be able to grab himself a Rift Herald, and Pentanet kind of with a first significant lead in this game.
Absolutely, and I think that really hurts so much for Kwaku, right? The fact that he invested that time to come in down and try and get an assist to his lane, but try and get some action of some form to even out the CS difference. You can see now falling behind by close to 600 golds. Definitely feeling the pain of that sort of camp early on. And yeah, despite, you know, Sully being down 15 CS, the tier 2 boots have been working wonders.
Yeah, completely agreeing. Kind of this aggressive playstyle has netted them advantages also in the top lane and in this neutral objective. You would like to see him now try and get some plates onto Praedyth. Whether they do that with a clever swap or maybe a gank into the bottom lane is yet to be seen. But I think Sully, after having a pretty rough game versus Lisa, now looking a lot better.
Action in the mid lane again. Sully keeping ever so aggressive. Control wards are down. Constant vision. Ability to make sure that nobody is in hot pursuit. There is actually a lane ward down by Mammoth. Maybe looking for any cheeky shenanigans behind the wall, but this is just giving Sully more and more time just to free roam the map. Yep, picking up vision here. Picking up a scuttle. And always showing that Kwaku, you're just never safe wherever you are.
That's going to be another mark picked up. However, Dragons should be traded away on this bottom side. So, Mammoth starting to fight back around their strong point. You can see that this Heimerdinger just has permanent shove down here. It is so annoying to deal with, whatever the heck Heimer is. I think he's a Yordle with an afro, but not quite entirely sure on the lore there, Skimmy.
I have no idea about the lore as well. All I know is it's making big brain plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see that if they have push in mid lane, if they have push in bottom, they're even getting pushed back top, despite nearly a 30 CS lead right now for Biopanther. The pressure is just going to remain very high on Summoner's Rift.
Artek with the flash hook, looking to try and get that kill, and that kill he will indeed. The Lamb's Respite
Oh,
goes
stun
down,
lands!
and it's
No
not gonna
flash!
do much, but the spear lands, as you say. No junglers have flash to get out of this one, and that's a fantastic shutdown. Bass instantly promoted the fact that he has extra CS, and now all that gold too.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, there's a lot of action. Top lane too, Skimmy.
Oh, actually, everywhere in the map right now. Praetor actually finds a solo kill onto the Heimerdinger, left without protection, evens out the CS. And Kwaku, despite being so far behind, nearly taking out Bio.
Yeah, so it wasn't a solo kill. Rogue certainly burnt both summoner spells there to pick up Mboma, who didn't back away. However, we take another look at the first one first. So this is going to be get back, posturing aggressively. He wants to be able to get Sully involved in this mid lane play. Great flash from Artek. And the ultimate, just a pixel wrong. Now Sully kind of regretting the decision to try and save him, or will give over a 600 shutdown to Bass. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, this was a flash tag. Mboma tried to get the turret down in time, but did not. Empowered turret is not going to do all that much damage unless you can use abilities to get the laser out as well, Skimmy. That's the way that one works. And now three-man dive being set up on the top lane. They might be able to take this turret completely.
That was a rough kill there for Praetor without any mana. Forced to auto-tech him down without even those passive attack speed buffs. But he won't complain. He'll pick up that gold quite nicely and make that lane, which was pretty rough for him, a nice even trade. And even better is this clean execution of the turret. 2 plates remain, and the true damage will one-shot it.
Yeah, very well done. Silence into Hook.
Oh my god, that is the dream combo. That is what we're looking at. Silent stun, Hook, disengage, and then Mboma with the flash fade away rockets.
And this is really nicely played by Mammoth. And you might be thinking, Spawn, you're an idiot. This is a 2-for-1 turret trade. Well, while plates are still up and available, there is no point defending that second turret. You would much rather get plates in the bottom lane. They've been able to pick up 3 for Mboma. They've also just got a teleport out. That's going to be Ezreal. And if they have members down here still, they can still look to fight this.
True Shot Barrage is available, but Glacial Fissure's not for maybe another 10-15 seconds, so a little bit hesitant to engage in that situation. Will back out and won't have any vision to really know if there were any other members of Mammoth looming around. There was a reset in mid as well, so Lived only working his way towards it now. They weren't to know that at the time. But they do secure the bottom lane, and that's the most important objective. And, well, you say it once, it happens again. Maybe looking for a second attempt at a gank there.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. And I think what they're looking for right now is just continual pressure in this bottom lane, because you always need an area of pressure to play around. So you can see that Blitzcrank goes for a shot. He's nearly got his Ignite back and available. As long as Mboma doesn't die right now, Skimmy, this bottom lane should be really, really tough for the PGG lineup to play. You know, support, no flash, full mana going to be available. Jungler on this side of the map. There's just so much going right for it. Meanwhile, top lane, now a very long lane. You would have to expect Kwaku is not happy with the current state of Summoner's Rift. He's going to get chased down if ever there is a jungler in his area.
Well, keep your eyes on Bio, who's rotating through the mid lane. There's the hook to try and get a kill onto Israel, but does shift on out. We've yet to see that Skyfall come in from the Pantheon. He's just been quite content bullying out this Renekton and making sure that that lane is, well, pretty much over. So it'll be interesting to see where he decides to then try and assist, if it's mid lane, who's currently down 0-2, or if he's looking to try and force a map flip.
Yeah, I would be interested in that as well, because generally what happens when your top laner, you know, gets really camped and ganked like the way he is, you swap him into the short lane and you put your really safe duo lane up top, and they just try and play for push once again, try and play around their turrets, and you just put Bass up there to support. We've seen the absolute opposite. We've seen Kwaku left on an island instead, Skimmy. And I'm wondering whether that is going to cause him to fall even further down, because you can see he's 40 CS in a hole right now. He's nowhere near completing that Blade of the Ruined King. So they're just conceding top side of the Summoner's Rift and trying to get something done down here on the bottom side.
No resources invested in towards this Renekton, and that's going to allow Sully's always a free reign of this topside jungle. Going to go in for his second Herald acquisition and allow them to accentuate this gold lead that much further. Currently up by 1k. And get back. Always wary now of when this Blitzcrank is gone. He's met the wrath of that roaming three-man squad a few too many times to remember now.
Yeah, and with this play right now, they're going to also look to break open mid lane turret. You can see that they're pinging on that wave fairly heavily. They have the Blitzcrank who can, not Blitzcrank, Pantheon who can ult in from the top lane. If Blitzcrank with Pantheon ult, that would well and truly be a very terrifying champion. But they don't fully commit to it. Instead now, they're going to have to play against a shoving Heimerdinger in the mid lane. And I think Mammoth probably should have been punished a little bit more heavily there. Skimmy, that turret should have probably fallen by my stretch of the imagination.
You saw Mammoth definitely peel members away, not deciding to fully commit. They were kind of expecting, as you highlight, the turret to go on down, but the simple disengage comes out here from Pentanet. Teleport is still online for Get Back, whereas both Predator and Biopanther still waiting on that one. Yet to see the true global finesse
This could be big.
Comp can do.
I'm very concerned that PGG will try and reclaim their bottom side jungle here. You can see how much vision they have. And if they had been slightly more patient, Skimmy, this would have been a catch onto Rogue. It still might be.
It may be indeed. They're going to go for the hook, the silence, and the damage to follow up with. But with a two-man squad like that, without the shield even going up, he just mitigates so much.
Yeah, he's able to just walk away. And I think that if they had been there waiting with, a grenade for the stun with turret set up, that's definitely a one-shot. But no such luck there for the Mammoth lineup. Instead now, Ezreal going to do his best to clear out these turrets in the mid lane. And they're trying to find exactly where Sully is. Bass is a full level up over his jungle counterpart, despite the early kills that were picked up by Sully. He's actually 2 levels now.
He's 2 now. Yeah, he's got the second ultimate upgrade, 11 to 9. It's pretty big. It's pretty crazy. Yes, you get all those kills, but you've fallen behind by 40 CS. And, Biopanther's definitely been able to find that advantage, but unable to really show it to the rest of his team.
And this has been a really bizarre game so far, Skimmy. Areas that we thought would struggle are significantly far ahead. You got Renekton, one of the early game kings of League of Legends, being camped, is down 40 CS. I thought the Heimerdinger would do well, but that's fine. The one area I called a skill matchup, Lived has absolutely demolished Get Back with the help of his jungler as well as Artek on the Blitzcrank. And this game has just been, it's been wild, to be honest. 4-man dive now being set up on the bottom lane, however. You can see that Liv just says, you know what, guys, I'm out. Peace.
Well, they're looking to open up this map once again. Top lane is broken, bot lane is broken. And both times the Herald has come online, it's found a lot of value. That headbutt will do the damage. Turret destroyed, and Glacial Fissure burnt to prevent Lived, who's forced to use the flash.
Yeah, Rogue used the flash there as well, so Liv just respecting. I think he made a mistake reapproaching that turret. You could see his team wanted to move down and be able to help him out, Skimmy, but really when you're trading like that, you should be playing for probably mid lane damage or even, potentially a kill onto Get Back if you can land a cheeky hook or get a turret dive going. At that point, you kind of got to accept reality. Shelly's killing that turret. They're backing away before you can do anything of that nature. Still, it is only about a 1,300 gold difference. I think that this game is very, very close still. Scaling, I think, once again, comes down to who's going to be able to execute in these fights better. You never really want to counter Heimerdinger out because of his neutral objective control, how well he does Baron and Dragons, and how well he controls Vision. But Sully putting on a topside clinic at the moment, and Bass trying to capitalize on farming advantages, which we don't really see in the jungle anymore.
It is interesting. You talk about the level differences between the junglers right now. That can obviously be accommodated in some sort of way. You substitute a level on Sully to give it to Bio instead. But, you set yourself up for these sort of siege pushes. You can see just how much those turrets alone, even with the ultimate upgraded turret too, just free damage to respond, to almost give you like a mini Herald in some form or fashion.
Yeah, completely agree. And the thing about trading Heralds for Dragons is that the Herald power is just in the gold, right? If the gold ever equalizes, you got nothing for the 2 Heralds. Whereas the Dragon power sticks there all game and also just gives you that huge win condition we always talk about. Soul point going to come up in 50 seconds if the Mammoth lineup is able to take the next Dragon. And that means that this game, once again, we're looking at kind of that 26 to 30 minute, game-deciding team fight in air quotes. If you are the Mammoth lineup, Hook, going to miss.
The hook would have been juicy. The teleport came in, and it was inches away from picking out Israel, which I don't believe would have even known to Arcane Shift until the last clip, when it would have been too late. But they now assert themselves as a 1-3-1 comp, looking to defend mid lane, and really putting up with the Heimerdinger, which kind of screams Veigar synergies of bunkering down and preventing anything from happening.
Yeah, it's a really annoying champion. However, without blue buff, he is going I guess that's a good news story right now if you are PGG. One more wave and you can probably keep him locked in that mid lane. See whether they can get re-control of this area to go into drag. And you see Get Back rotating here first. They're going to rely on Kwaku's teleport, which means PGG should have the setup for this objective. And Emboma goes so low.
So, okay, he's down by 2 levels in the jungle with Sorely, but he's dead even in gold. All that gold difference, once again, is found in Bio, who's up by like 2k, nearly 2.5. It's pretty incredible. 50 CS in the assists. Yes, it's been a quiet game for him. He's literally been just pushing
Hook is on.
But we'll see exactly what happens when he gets into a team fight. Equalizer goes down, the flame spitter comes out. That's going to be the stopwatch. The turret is doing damage. The Protobelt comes in from an Echo engage to try and save Arctic and try and find some vengeance. But revenge won't be enough. And Biopanther backs up the boys.
Yeah, and Kwaku not teleporting there, I think could have been a mistake, Skimmy. There was a creep available for him to be able to get into that fight. Instead, they're looking for the top lane push, trying to equalize that, but teleport will be able to save the turret. Another kill going over to Pentanet. And as you mentioned, Pentanet GG, they've got themselves a Mountain Dragon now. That soul point win condition has been delayed by at least another 10 minutes. On top of that, they now have themselves the advantage of the kills going in their direction. It's trickling in slowly. Mid lane turret, again, going to be saved by Rogue. And Mammoth, without opening up this map, without having the neutral objectives to be able to fight over, are starting to really flounder in this mid game.
Well, it's tough, right? Because they are chipping away, kind of like erosion tactics towards this mid turret. Every single time this wave pushes in, which they are always getting ahead of the Ezreal and Braum, they are doing a little bit more. But especially when this Ezreal has mana, that much harder to do job. And, with Iceborne Gauntlet and Mana Moon all completed now, plenty of CDR, plenty of ability to kite back, which is something that we highlighted during the draft, the CC and the ability to lock members in place.
Rogue now going to face check Bath.
Yes, indeed.
Get Back's coming down as well. This could be a fight. Where are the teleports?
I'll take a look to try and disengage away, but that is just so much CC, exactly what we highlighted, and that is the job. Just clean and cut. Now Blitzcrank, a huge threat on this roster, without them to defend this mid turret.
Yeah, and I think the mid turret's just going to fall down. You can see Creep Wave now coming in. Oh, Bass very cheekily is able to cut that wave. No one able to keep it alive, and Rogue now too low. But this game is starting to become very, very scrappy. Bottom lane turret will fall, so Mammoth do get a little bit of gold back, but I don't know whether anyone was even in the vicinity of it. Skimmy, I think already that Lift had backed away.
I think
I think we're going to be here for a long time.
Yeah. It's looking like a slow burner at this stage, Spawn. 2 minutes and 40 seconds until the next Drake. I think, we're looking at definitely another 10, 15 minutes on the card.
Yeah, I think PGG certainly look a little bit rattled from their earlier game, so they're not playing as fast as they normally are. They're definitely not as decisive on their moves. Instead of, trying to dive that turret, try and take it down, they're just content with the one kill into a pick and trading across the map. Whereas Mammoth, honestly, they look a little bit lost with their comp. Really playing heavily around the Heimerdinger, which is just there to be able to clear out waves and have good objective control, as opposed to trying to play towards maybe Lived or Kwaku's lane. Maybe because Kwaku fell too far behind early in the game and they feel like they can no longer play around that win condition. But I think that this is quickly becoming a little bit resident sleeper, and we might be here for a very long time.
Well, it's been the battle of the mid lane, and Mammoth have definitely had the better exchange of that so far, as every single time this mid wave comes in to allow Pentanet any kind of form of damage themselves, the lane gets deleted. So it's been a case of we have triple teleports. If you try and get any kind of split siege off, we've always got a response.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. You can see right now that Kwaku is just more than happy to be the whipping boy of his team. He's giving up complete control. He's respecting everything. He's dropping very defensive pink wards. And Mammoth are getting trades. Bass, good damage.
Bass is looking for it, going to use the Protobelt as well. Now, obviously, this is a champion that Bass is very comfortable on, so if there was ever a person to try and really get the tempo going, sitting at 2-0-1, definitely would be looking towards him to find that moment of magic.
And if you're 2,000 gold ahead in a mid game and your champions are well and truly online, Ezreal at the 2-item spike, you have a look at Pantheon. This is the strongest Pantheon is going to be in the game. This is when you would normally be looking to heavy fight if you're Pentanet. If this is a Chiefs playing this composition, they've got themselves an accelerated jungler. Claire is on something like the mid-game powerhouse that is Rumble. I can guarantee you they are trying to push the tempo of this game, the pace of this game as much as possible. That's not to say they get outscaled, Skimmy, because I think Ezreal Braum is going to be a big nuisance in the late game. So potentially they're just not on a clock and they're playing towards that. But I think that their comp is really, really strong right now. And they're just not looking for anything, really. They're still looking to split the map. Now, finally, they group up as 5. They're looking for the next dragon. But Mammoth can just give this one again and look to split topside.
Yeah, Fire is pushing bot lane for the meantime. That's going to collapse into the turret. And he's now going to look to try and group up with the team. May see the starts of a mid-ARAM to try and gain control over towards this Dragon Pit. They don't know they're going to be the ones in the driving seat so far, as they've already pushed out mid and they've always got the vision there, but Mammoth will give them a conundrum to deal with as they look to just to jump onto Praetor, who has no protection. A little bit too cautious in his approach there. Equalizer goes on down, but there's no one to follow things up with, and Ezreal just gets pounced upon.
And this is a problem if you keep looking to trade. If they don't handshake the objective, if they say, no, we want to fight right now, you have to be able to get away, and they cannot do that. Now, with the Heimerdinger, they're looking to start up this Baron. Hook will miss, though.
Baron got started. Members are low. At least Artek and Bass down to a half, even Ben Bomus, so it's going to be a risky one if they decide to sit around and fight for a little bit longer. They're not going to go for the recall. Benenet will say vengeance for Breda. Get that hashtag trending as they look to try and take down this mid tower, but Mammoth have words that they want to have with this team as well. That goes the Glacial Fissure. The turret still survives, and these turrets just will not fall on down.
Skimmy, what a mess. What are we watching right now? This is an absolute disaster for both teams. They're going to look to maybe try and defend this turret again. They do not want to let it die, Skimmy.
They are holding on to everything at this stage. Finally, Biopanther looks to jump in. Not any choice of his own. He gets hooked on in. And they say, that's not the target you want, buddy. Ezreal gets a kill. They finally break through mids.
Just let the tier 1 die!
Why are they fighting over a tier 1
turret at 27 minutes into the game?
Oh, no. Who knows at the stage spawn, honestly. We've had too many moments like this already today.
I mean, I feel like we've had some really high pressure games, but this game doesn't even feel like pressure League of Legends. Teams are just seeding objectives left, right, and center, and then that one, the nearly dead mid lane outer turret that you've already taken the counterpart of, is apparently where you draw the line and say, no, we must fight here with 3 members on half health and no ultimates available.
Yep. I think that's one of those situations where if you're in comms, you don't flood it and you just say, go next, let's clear the slate, we'll talk about it afterwards, let's move on.
Yep, I agree.
Because definitely not something you want to be talking about in the middle of a game where you're going to have some very pent-up aggression towards your teammates, thinking, why on earth did you do that when I can't even contest? But regardless, 2 Drakes now apiece, 2 Mountains for Pentanet, working towards that tankiness that we've talked about, likes of Bio and Rogue, you highlighted earlier today, love to play that tanky style, definitely great for them.
Go. Okay, so instead we're going to have a dance for this mid lane. Hook is on, though.
It is indeed. They're going to go straight on towards Rogue. He goes gold and the Equalizer comes down, creating a complete divide between mid and that turret. Out comes Pantheon, the spear goes down. He's locked in on his own, shield goes up. Cosplaying Rogue. He's preventing a lot of damage right now, but Kraken, despite being so zoned out of this game, he's able to keep members locked away. They chase on down, and Bass finds a stellar performance. He gets the shot down, and now surely Baron is the choice.
And again, Sully misses his ultimate, which means that Rogue dies, which means he uses an ultimate on 4 members that are full health. Without that, they can't win the team fight. They're going to look to try and stop this Baron. No, they're not. Finally, they're backing away. Quaku might be in some trouble. Mammoth will get Baron, however. And finally, we have a team that is definitively in the lead, and it is Mammoth.
It took us a while. It took us 29 minutes to be precise, but we are finding moments where maybe we know where this game is headed. A minute 30 up on this Drake, but quite honestly, it could turn any single second.
I don't want to hear that we know where this team is going right now, because no one knows where they're going. Hook is on, right? And at this point, you're like, okay, I'm just going to time my ultimate, but he doesn't. So he dies outside of it. Stun will land onto Fire Panther, just as he's flying into this, Liv doing a very good job of zoning the 2 real damage threats from this. Kwaku also will solo out Sully, who had no spells left and available. And this was a disaster, from the catch onto Rogue to the Sully ultimate that missed to everything. But now they've got to be able to close out this game. They're very split on the map right now. They do have teleport available onto Liv, but this core needs to be careful.
Yeah, Kwaku can't respond because his TP is down. The Bass, we asked for a big performance out of him with that power spike that he found, and he definitely showed up in that last team fight.
Yeah, Bass he's always been kind of that jungler that's slept on. Like, people have been talking about Prayless this season, right? But I feel like Bass has also quietly become a pretty good jungler in the OPL. We've had junglers in the OPL before that have really struggled to transition to the pro scene, and Bass certainly is not one of them. And now they're just pressuring the whole map. Skimmy, this is a full court press. Oh, another hook.
That's a hook as well. Turret's already down, and a second turret in the fact that that's a Baron-inspired cannon. Every lane is feeling the wrap. They're going to find a lot of pressure on this map and finally break open this map to get themselves on even terms.
Yeah, and this is why you have something like a full court press, right? You're able to get multiple objectives down. You're never going to win the game off it, but you can break, multiple turrets in very short time. It also allows them to ensure that there is no vision behind them from a push wave. There's only one ward in the Raptor camp that really is a good teleport ward that maybe Get Back or Biopanther can go towards. And with Dragon being the main objective, that's definitely not going to be utilized. Actually, there's one in the river, so that's a little bit sloppy here from the Mammoth lineup. But all things considered, mate, they got themselves a couple of outer turrets, they get themselves another Dragon, and they've now built up a 3,000 gold lead.
Was the Sieging Baron. That's obviously a locked in place Pentanet, and now gives them that win condition to discover with the Soul. Now going to be available in 5 minutes. So, not a bad turn of events. They've been rather slow in terms of kills, in terms of siege, but the Baron will give them a big swing of gold.
Mate, this game feels inevitable. Like, it just felt like PGG never really used any of their advantage that they built up in this early game. They had such a huge window to use Biopanther's strength to take over Summoner's Rift. But this has felt like the Titanic hitting an iceberg. Like, I felt like they just slowed down to such an extent, and there was clear danger signs ahead, and they just completely disregarded all of them.
But that's what I was wondering, right? You put all these resources into Biopanther to mean that, you as a jungler fall behind in levels to your counterpart. Bio is absolutely crushing Kwaku. He still is in terms of that 50 CS lead. But, if you look at the score of 0-1 and 3, you think, sure, you got some good sieging damage, but Mammoth just completely, evened it up.
You even look at the item spikes between Kwaku and Biopanther, right? He's a healing cut behind. I would take the Renekton at this stage of the game. Pantheon does definitely fall off in terms of his relative strength. He's not a team fighter, he's a skirmisher. Doesn't love the 5v5 scenario. And that's why I think we haven't seen all that much Pantheon in the OPL, despite it being valued so highly overseas, is because you need to be able to win games early on this champion. And teams are just showing that they can't do that. So I think, you know what? Kwaku at the moment, he's completely fine with where he's at in this game. He would be able to kill Praetus in a 1v1. He would be able to kill Get Back, I think, as well. So his job, quite easy at this stage. And really, they're going to look for these next wave of objectives to come up. The Mountain Soul as well as the Baron in, 3 and 2 minutes respectively. And they're going to look to use the strength of Blitzcrank and Heimerdinger again to be able to control these neutral objectives. You cannot face check these champions.
And look how they've itemized towards it as well. You've now got 4 stopwatches. Yes, Zonia's is complete here on the Heimerdinger. The 3 stopwatches between everybody else. Obviously, Blitzcrank not really known for needing to use that as much. But the fact is, if they do go for a team fight and they're very scared of that one-shot blow-up, it's that much harder now to try and really achieve it and get the ball rolling.
What I do want to see, however, is Mboma actually get given the next blue buff that is available on Summoner's Rift. Because this guy's constantly running Skimmy. He's not having a good day with suffering. His mana. He really is. Every single fight I see him in, he has like 1 rotation of spells up and available before he's going to run And he's in a very similar situation right now. So just give him a damn blue buff, Bash. You don't need it anymore. You're well and truly past the point of the game where you need it for farming any quicker.
Perhaps he wishes he was on the MPL, where we all take presence of mind. Do you know what I mean? And we're all just farming kills, getting mana back, and it just looks so clean.
He's not getting it, Skimmy. He's getting a recall instead. It's a disaster.
That's a feels bad, man. Might need to tweet at him after this and say, how does it feel to have 0 mana all game?
I mean, I would like to ask him, like, whether it's a deliberate choice. When you add up the CDR coming out of that blue buff does give him 40.
Sure.
Whereas, you know, maybe Mboma feels like he doesn't need 40% CDR to do his job on Heimerdinger, has a little bit longer cooldowns in these fights, so it might not be as crucial for him. But, yet again, looking for mid lane push here. Kwaku on a flank finally. 5 members here. Lift coming from the bottom side of mid lane will be spotted out, Skimmy. Is this going to be the elusive 5v5 team fight that we have been dreaming of for probably the last 20 minutes?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. They're going to go for the Baron. It's going to be Penanet that start things off with. Now, Drake is up in under 80 seconds. Are they going to look for a bait? Are they look for a actual contest? Bass is going to find a massive stun onto 2 to start things off with the hook goes out, but it does not connect, but the damage is massive. And that's a fantastic ult there by Suri to try and survive for a little bit longer, but he's going to try and jump on over. He's not going to survive for much longer. It's a 1-4 trade so far. Renekton goes out, but the junglers are deleted. Bass finds value with that blue buff. He gets 1, he gets 2, and it is going to be a response in the end with Bio Panther taking shutdowns. It's a slow, drawn-out fight with CDR being the really major objective here of what's dictating it. We're going to see an ace very slowly, but who knew how the tide of that fight would have turned out?
That was a mess. I mean, you could see Mboma went over the wall and could not get back into the fight. They don't take Baron. I mean, obviously they don't think the Biopanther and Praetor can two-man at this stage of the game. Instead, they are pinging out onto a dragon. We take another look at this one. Bass starts it off very nicely. It is going to be a two-man stun onto crucial targets. However, great equalizer on the back end. And this time, it is going to be a very nice ultimate from Sully. You can see how long it keeps his team alive for. Artek goes over the wall. Mboma is with him. And now Mboma can't get back into the fight. He doesn't want to flash for whatever reason. He goes the long way. Bass dies in the meantime. And it becomes an absolute disaster as Mboma's still just waddling around.
Yep, it was a rough one, that's for sure. Biopanther finally showcasing his strength in this game, able to pick up a triple, and Praetor, the sort of rock of consistency, able to get some kills too.
And Skimmy, I thought we were going to end tonight at 10 p.m. And I thought it was going to be a late night. But I can tell you, we're going deeper than that.
I think I'm going to hit a quota of having maybe too much water in my system because I'm slamming back these glasses to keep this throat ready to rock and roll. These games are just juicy.
Because they didn't get Baron, because they went for the dragon instead. You can see that they've given up the area around here, and they're pinging so heavily onto this Baron.
True Shot Barrage will scout things out. No ward there at the moment. Is one deep, but behind the Baron if they were to look for a teleport. Mammoth will disengage from that one for now.
Hook?
Very close.
Mate, my heart can't handle this. I'm too old.
Every game. There's not been a single game where it's been stompy or just, you know, clear for us to narrate. It's just been what is going on. And if you're feeling that, then I'm feeling it too. It's a mood, and that's a hook, and that's a kill right now. His Getback is deleted, not having the best game of his life now. 0-4. Kwaku on the flank saying, I hate you, Bio. You made my laning phase a living hell. Does the damage and gets himself out of harm's way. True Shot Barrage once again. Bass goes to the wee one. He nearly got taken out of that fight. Jumping into the members of Pentanet when he's trying to disengage out. 1 for 1. Well, actually, 1 for none. It's, yeah, all to play for still.
Yeah, okay. So, they still have 30 seconds on the death timer. They can start up this Baron. Heimerdinger will tank it forever if he wants to. He uses the ult for it. Kwaku has teleport. There are good flank wards here, Skimmy. Instead, he just goes straight into the damn pit. And Baron should be the objective. And they might get it here.
Baron is secured. Hook will not land. Biophase checks it with the shield. Now, do they look to try and force out a team fight? Lance Spite is available for Solid. He looks to try and survive for a little bit of time. But Bio falls on down. That's a shutdown with Baron online. 3 Drakes apiece. No solder required just yet. Another 250 on that one. But with this, surely they look open to take an inhibitor and put a nail in the coffin.
Very, very interesting decision there to be able to contest that 4v5. Artek still is half health, but everyone else quite full, Skimmy, so they're going to look to break the base. I don't know if they're brave enough for an inhibitor. They are! Wow. Hallelujah, the base is broken. 40 minutes in, we might have an end in sight. Still 30 seconds left on Biopanther. A hook will do it right now.
True Shot Barrage comes out to trim the wave. I mean,
That's
the
not
Rockets
happening.
to clear it as well. The hook is not going to be there. Arctic is down to half. They're not even going to stick around to inspire these cannon minions. They want to reset. Fire's up at 10. Set themselves up for a next Drake.
Okay, next Drake. Going to be the goal. 2 minutes away, Skimmy. Maybe they use Baron buff beforehand, but I'm not getting my hopes up at all. This one has certainly been a grind, and you can see how much it means. If Pentanet lose this, I would say, it's hard to say. You have to say that their 5th place spot is definitely under fire if they lose this game, with the upswing that Avant and Gravitas seem to be on at the moment. In saying that, can Mammoth still make the playoff race? I don't think that they're mathematically eliminated yet. I don't think anyone is.
Interesting burner, because I mean, Pentanet tomorrow they play Gravitas, and that's their only game. So they definitely want to finish tonight on a win, especially when you're challenging teams below you.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Pentanet, another trip up here would be disastrous. 2 losses in a night is very hard to recover from, especially when you've got to play more games of League of Legends tomorrow. Ending the game on back-to-back Super Weeks. Every team playing a minimum of, I think, 6 games. Some teams playing 7. That's brutal as far as scheduling goes, Skimmy. When you only play 18 games in a season, or whatever these teams play, playing, a third of them nearly in 2 weeks certainly gets the blood pumping.
I mean, there's one argument to say that you love it and it's your job, but there's another to say that you get a little bit burnt out for too many high-stakes situations that have implications on whether or not you make it to those high rankings in the playoffs. But let's have a look at mid lane right now. It seems to be a bit of aggression to try and get some prio as the straight gets contested. The hook goes in. That's going to be a resurrection shot away with the Jet getting online. He's going to go down right now. True Shot is going to get negated by 2 stopwatches. Sully in his own ultimate. He survived, flashes out, doesn't receive the heal. Bash Tracer goes down. He's going to wind out. There's just so many potentials for people to survive and live, but it's not going to be enough. Predator falls on down, and he gets shut down as well as Bash finds the second. Mammoth, what are you doing to me? You're just single-handedly destroying this game. Screw the dragon. Go for the end. What does the Mountain Soul do? It makes our health bar look good, but the end is what we want 42 minutes in.
Yeah, and with 3 members dead, they should be able to pick it up. The hook onto Praetor. Artek styling on Pentanet.gg. And Mammoth should be able to pick up the victory.
They are going for the first Nexus turret, and without enough members here to survive, there's no equalizer. And what can Brom do in a situation like this? Nothing. The core, the Nexus, it's gone. And Pentanet will receive their 2nd loss of the day.
And this has been a brutal day for Pentanet.gg fans. 2 games that you would have viewed as must wins if you want to be able to push for 4th. Second game, probably a must win if you still want to be able to compete for playoffs. Yep. And that was back-to-back very brutal upsets. And the way they lost as well, 2 very different styles of losses. One game felt like they were never really in it. They were chasing their tail a little bit. This game, so far ahead, especially in the key area of that top lane Pantheon that you can move around the map. And just the inability to accelerate the game was honestly pretty brutal to watch, Skimmy.
I felt like a little bit of paralysis there, but let's get ourselves tuned up, ready for game number 4. Super Week has had plenty of updates, and we've got plenty more games to show you after this.